Welcome everyone to day number 3 of our Super Week. It is a Friday, and even though it's a Friday, I'm here because it's a very special Friday today, at least in Europe. But more importantly, we have more VCS action, 2 more series coming your way today. As we've already decided most of our playoffs race, but there are still some implications. My name is Your and with me today is Quincy for series number 1. Quincy, how are you feeling this lovely morning?
It's just the best Friday in the whole year, right? It's even called Good Friday, right? No, I actually hate this day for various reasons, but let's not go into these details. Either way, it's of course a good day to just cast another series of the VCS English. And of course, with 2 series coming up today, especially the second one is more of a banger, so I'm kind of jealous of Rebel that I don't get to cast it. Either way, the first one, not too bad as well. Saigon Buffalo facing off against MG and Box Esports. And at least for Saigon Buffalo, it has like some little implications.
Yeah, let's take a look at the standings. These standings are a little unfortunate in their graphic because they highlight 1, 2, 3, but actually the important thing is 1, 2, 3, 4 because we get 4 teams into playoffs. And with Team Wales 2-0ing Saigon Buffalo yesterday, I believe, or 2 days ago, they actually locked the playoffs race. So everything is decided, which is kind of weird. Usually we go to the last day for VCS, but yeah. Our playoff teams will be GUM Esports and First Seed, and SPDC, Wales, and Cerberus still fighting for seeding, so that's going to be important later on, but the 4 teams are confirmed. Then we have Saigon Buffalo, Flash, Secret, and Box Esports missing the playoffs, and as you can see, Box Esports is already locked in last place at 1-12. They play their last series today, right now, so we're minutes away from it, and Quincy, I want to focus a bit on them because we're going to say goodbye to both to this team. We still have one more series for Saigon Buffalo, so we're gonna pay them our respects later on. But for MBE, they started 0-18, I believe, in game score, and then got a bit better. So, what do you take away from this team after one season of VCS?
I think overall they kind of it's like every split the same we kind of have going with these expected bottom 2 teams, right? It's just we see the first series, then they usually lose but look kind of good in the loss, and then we say, yeah, they are kind of a pushover, but not as much of a pushover as the former bottom 2 teams have been. And then they kind of prove us wrong and actually being exactly that. And Box Esports went this way with starting off this first round robin without a single win, and then suddenly the Cerberus Nation attacked. Cerberus doing their little happy game shenanigans and actually dropping the whole series to them to 0. And actually, yesterday they took another game. They took 1 game from Secret, which kind of looks good in their regard. And I think, in general, however, like the saying is true. Like they are a pushover, yes, but I think the overall level of the VCS is massively improving. I mean, yesterday I felt like watching LCK while casting the game, as we were definitely having like some solid macro decisions from both teams. It was Box playing against Team Flash of all teams, so 6th versus 8th team basically. Though I think that they are definitely the worst team in the league right now. That's like no sugarcoating about it. We can't really say it anywhere else. But I think the overall level is improving, so they can't be too unhappy about it. And I think for potential relegations, I think the VCSB teams, even with them being a clear last place team, they probably are not too happy to face Box Esports. And I think the battle for any team that wants to promote is very, very hard.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a different sentiment than what we came out of the league with after the first half, right? I actually looked at MGN and thought, okay, they're just not at the same level. They're just going to demote in the promotion series because their players aren't good enough. But now, I'm not so sure about that anymore. So, speaking of the players, I started this look at Box Esports and look at their new players, and was kind of convinced that the best player in the team is Tom Rio, especially over the course of the first half of the season. Who do you think is their best player, or who are the standout players for you looking at this team now that they've played 13 of the 14 series?
I think a standard player by now is Sunmer, but not in a good way. I think everyone else kind of made arguments to be like definitely one of the greater players. I mean, Tomio is like the most standard player to me. He is the kind of jungler to go for these cheesy ganks that kind of throw out every team basically. I mean, Cerberus overall looked like a better team than in the last few splits, and they still got kind of caught off guard by what Tomio did in the early game. And I mean, in the first series, I think the bot lane definitely showed up with Slows and Zodiac performing against what even Rails brought to the table with Vid and B even the reigning VCS champion, basically. Definitely not looking too hard against them. And that's definitely something that they can work out for themselves. And yesterday, aside from Tommy with that beautiful late game Lisinki that won them the game, I think Nogo had a decent series. So I also want to credit him a little bit.
Okay, so kind of everyone doing all right, and then Sunma being a little bit of a lackluster
Yeah.
performer in the top side.
Needs to fix his laning a little bit. Yoshino pretty much destroyed him, let's be real.
Yeah.
By the way, even in the first game, I think he kind of recovered from that. So even Sunma, not too shabby in general. I think every player kind of improved his split, and that's, of course, something that's nice to hear.
Yeah, I feel like I definitely agree with you. I think for me, the two players that are a little problematic for this team and they might look at improvements are Sunma and Slows to me. I feel like Nugu and Tomrio for me are the best players on the team, especially Tomrio.
Yeah.
Good playmaking, decent mechanics. Nugu seems to be pretty stable, which is good to see in a mid laner. And then Slows got better over the second half. Still feel like he's on the bottom end of ADC, but to be fair, ADC is a very, very strong position in the VCS, so it's kind of hard to get in there. If you have like Artemis, Shogun's, Style, all these really good players.
Slater as well.
Slater is good. Eddie even is still a good player, even though he might be on the bottom tier team. So yeah, ADC is a really high quality position in VCS. So speaking of ADC, on the other side of the rift today, Saigon Buffalo, they weirdly enough have kind of transformed into carry us Shogun or we lose, because they haven't really found anything else working for them, right? And that's really sad to see, because this team used to be such a creative, such a powerful early game team with so many plans around Bean J and Froggy and all their weird roams and setting up Hasmid's counter pick with the Vayne. But this season really is just the downfall of the top side, in my opinion, for Saigon Buffalo. Maybe even extending what we saw at Worlds last year, where the only thing that really worked for Saigon Buffalo was the bot lane, and then top side was a bit of a disaster. So moving into the offseason, Saigon Buffalo is not going to make playoffs for the first time in a long, long while. What do they have to address, Princey? How can they get back to their second best team in Vietnam position?
I think them not making playoffs might be a blessing in disguise for them. They just got a huge reality check in general, I think. I mean, the bot lane keeps improving, keeps getting better. I mean, last year, they 2v2'd Gubayusi and Carrier of all people, speaking about those. As I think we are heading into drafts or something, you are making them some hand signs.
Yeah, but please continue. I just wanted to quickly intercept that we go into draft right now with Saigon Buffalo on blue side and MGN on red side.
And Gui is back in. Speaking of the top side not improving on Saigon Buffalo side, they actually use the other jungler quite a fair bit, and he is the one that usually draws Talia buns. This time he didn't, and he might actually get to play Talia jungle again. But we also saw in other teams that he just likes AP junglers in general. Gragas is also a pick that could go to the jungle for him, but it's also a stable pick for potentially Froggy or Hasmid here, so I very much like this Gragas first pick up for them.
Really?
And many ADCs are taken off the table. I think you could pick ADC here, but I think the Gragas is such a good flex pick for them, and why not first pick it? It's very, very strong right now.
Because VCS teams can't play Gragas. He's almost lost every single game. We saw him there, 29% win rate. All the VCS Gragases are horrible. So I've kind of lost faith in the VCS Gragas.
Gui, it can though.
Hopefully.
Have some faith in Gui, yes.
Yeah, I mean, he has shown some very good AP jungle performances. So my biggest interest in this draft is actually the patch, because it's 13.6 and Saigon Buffalo is not really playing for anything. Yes, they want to win the series to secure like 6th or 5th position and avoid relegation, but that's very likely to happen anyway. So I have my eyes on top lane because Vayne buffs are live. We are 13.6, and we know Hasmid is probably the biggest Vayne player in all of pro play, I'd say. Definitely one of the most prolific Vayne players. So I want to see his top lane Vayne. I just want to see it happen because I've seen some creative builds over there. First item.
Art steal or what?
No.
Like the killing yesterday?
Essence Reaver. Essence Reaver first item, so you play around your buffed Q and just perma-proc the Sheen and so on. So that would be my hope, maybe later in the series, because for now we go Jace and Zeri. So very standard draft so far for Saigon Buffalo. Nothing too out of the ordinary, but MGN, I like their approach too, with a super strong mid-jungle duo. Kind of the 2019 and 2021 maybe combo that dominated mid-jungle in the early game. Super strong skirmishing between LeBlanc and Lee Sin, and a lot of playmaking too.
Yeah, I also like the Zaya lock-in. It's one of the best ADCs on the patch. Definitely something that can contest the Zeri to some extent. However, Shogun Zeri is something else. I mean, it just keeps winning games, if I remember correctly. I also distinctly remember them locking in Zeri Rakan when Zaya Rakan was open. It was kind of surprising to me, as it was just them being so confident that Shogun can really make the difference. And that Taki is a good Rakan, which he is, of course. But speaking about that Rakan, I expect that Rakan to be banned by Sagan Buffalo, because I think in this situation of the draft, both teams kind of want to have it. And I mean, the first one to pick it up would be Box Esports here. So definitely something that Second Buffalo might take away here. And for Box Esports, I also like it. Like it's strong mid jungle duo, a good early game ADC, and I think if they beat Second Buffalo, it's probably through the early game. So might as well start off with a strong foundation and find a good matchup where Sunbird doesn't get destroyed in lane by Hasmid. I think the Jace pickup could go either mid or top lane for the side of Second Buffalo. However, Hasmid's Jace is more renowned, so
yeah.
Would probably expect the Jace to be top lane here, and maybe a Malphite ban for the side of Second Buffalo, so that it cannot be picked up by Sunma to really nullify the Jace pick early on.
Yeah, I like those calls. That makes a lot of sense to me. Malphite, LeBlanc, Lee Sin may be a little awkward at some stages of the game, but I still would like to see the Malphite there. But let's see if they opt to ban it away. You can still flex the Jace into mid lane, maybe counterpick the Malphite. Of course, we have seen some AP champions rise to priority over in LPL. We see a lot of Rumble, who looks insanely strong, especially in the hands of Shanji. And I wouldn't put it past Hasmid, even though he's not really a known Rumble player, but I feel like he should be able to pilot that one. So the Malphite actually still open. They bent away another support in Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank always signals to me that you want to pick Thresh. If you ban Blitzcrank, it's most likely a Thresh angle, because that's the number one counter pick. Banning Blitzcrank and then picking Braum would be very confusing, so I don't really think that's gonna happen.
They might go for Thresh actually, but I think against Leona you might not want it. As it actually is fine against Leona, but you usually don't see Zeri pet for Thresh. That's just a weird option there.
That's true.
Maybe the Gragas could actually go support here. Could make more sense. We just nullify the Leona pick, and yeah, let's see what they are cooking. I expected Box not to pick the Malphite right away, as there was still an option to go for the side of Silas on the side of Second Buffalo, but now they can't really lock it in anymore, as they are already having a very AP heavy mid jungle duo. But that's just to be expected with Gui. Gui always plays AP junglers. I don't know why, but he seems to be comfortable on them, so why not?
He's like me. He just plays AP champions way better in the jungle. I'm the same. I hate AD champions. I just play mages in the jungle all the time. So Diana, actually the first pick of the whole split, I believe. Diana was kind of strong in the preseason, right? She was seen a lot in solo queue, but we haven't really seen her anywhere after some nerfs in the early stages of the season. So this is going to be exciting to see. A lot of Diana is always a little bit of an interesting champion in the way that she likes to fight, right? It's very all in. You can't really back out. She's a diver, a true diver, in the sense that she's not really an assassin because she can't get in and out. She just gets in. And either you die or she dies. So it's she's throwing down the gauntlet. Actually, could be a Froggy Diana. We have seen Diana in Froggy's hands as well. So they are still able to flex between mid and jungle here. I expect her to go jungle, but it could actually end up being Froggy Diana and Yuri Gragas in this case.
My gut feeling actually expects the Froggy Diana. I'm not completely honest here. I was advertising the Guri Gragas jungle pick beforehand, so I want to be right on that one. As I was right onto the Malphite last pick for the side of Box Esports, which I very much like, because it's a pick that can't really hard lose lane to the Jace anyway. And I think Sanma, his laning phase has been the problem in the past, so him having a good pickup is definitely something that I like to see. They hovered the reaction before, and I would have liked that much less on their side. So Malphite also does a good round out for the competition, just one more go button together with the solar flare from the Leona to really just get in, potentially with an early lead, because you have such strong lanes and also such a strong mid jungle duo. This could be like if Box Esports was like a top tier team of a major region, it would have been just a draft where they could just win lane, win game, and snowball the hell out of it. Against Second Buffalo, it's probably way harder to execute, but if they actually play their tools out the right way, it should be their win. Actually, I very much like the draft. It just is more about the question: can they play this kind of draft?
Yeah, I actually feel like Saigon Buffalo has committed a bit of a draft sin here, not banning away the Malphite, because you called it out in draft. We both knew it was a really strong option here into their double AD composition on the other side, so a little questionable to see them not paying any attention to this super strong champion. We saw it rise in priority all across the globe. It's such a good top laner right now, just strong in lane, scales insanely well, poses such an insane
Yes.
threat. So,
Do you see what I see?
let's see what
It's
you
Foggy
see.
Diana going
It is,
for Gragas
and look
Saga.
at
Yeah.
his runes. I'm already intrigued. Is
What
it
is he
gonna be
cooking,
hard
man?
steel? Is it gonna be hard steel Diana? I'm ready for hard steel Diana. I'm so ready
I
for hard
expect
steel Diana.
some tanky build at least, like maybe even demonic embrace, Nashras or something afterwards. I mean, that's similar to what we see, with what we have seen yesterday from the cannon from Hero, where he actually went the hardstyle demonic embrace Zonia's item build on the cannon in the top lane, which had like no direct success, but it also didn't look too horrible. So let's wait and see what Fog is really doing here as we are loading onto the Rift. Other wound choice pretty standard, I gotta say. Like, I have seen more electrocuted donks than First Strike, but First Strike, of course, in the range with this melee matchup makes a lot of sense. So that's something that, of course, is workable for the side of Nubu here.
Yeah, and Diana against LeBlanc is in lane doesn't really strike me as too interesting, I'd say, because Diana has the W to kind of negate the the damage. But I feel like Diana could really get punished by LeBlanc and Lee Sin working together, especially approaching level 6 and stuff, because Diana, as I said before, no defensive mobility, right? Like, her E is only to go in. You can't really dash out unless there's a minion behind you, which, why would there be? So we have a bit of bottom lane.
Weird.
So yeah, I feel like this
trade-off.
Diana needs to be very careful when it comes to level 6 between mid and jungle. Those two can certainly put some hurt on her.
Yeah, and I need to stress again how I like this Malphite pickup. I mean, even against the Diana, right? Just being one of those options to really work against auto tech champions. So that's definitely an option that could work out here. As we a bit of a trade in the bot lane just now again with the 2x2 and the dive being missing. Fight continuing, and actually the flash being forced by the side of Zodiac. Or it's actually the ignite and the ghost being down on their bot lane. And yeah, Agi burning his summoner spells, but also getting 2 on the other side.
Very interesting little trade there. A bit risky from Taki to go in, but they didn't really have the counter damage. If there's a bit more damage on Zodiac and Slows, Taki kinda dead because he already committed flash and his W. So now he has to be a bit more careful, especially with only a Kull on the Zeri. Now Kull Zeri is actually not weak in lane early on, but in a few levels the Zarya is definitely gonna outtrade her quite heavily, as we have a bit of a jungle clash, and Guri, oh, he gets the camp.
Gets him, as we see both jugglers really facing off. Yeah, Sonic Wave landing, but of course not really follow-up to be really seen there. And on the mid lane, it's just Foggy pushing up this wave. Actually, kind of having a good laning phase for himself in the melee versus range matchup for now. But of course, Diana, you said it before, right? The Pale Cascade being one of those spells that can really nullify any poke damage coming from the LeBlanc. So Foggy is quite healthy, and I don't think he will get any less healthy with this grasp itemization choice, or wound choice rather. I don't think he gets to pocket much against the ranged champion for now, but the longer this game goes, he can get more confident and actually nullify even more of the damage coming through from Nugu. So Nugu has a hard time. He has to win this lane somehow. In general, Box Esport has to play like a win lane, win game style. I like that draft in general, but so far it's not looking too good. They're just mechanically outclassed to some extent. We also see Sunma in the top lane, right? So far down against Hustle right now.
2 Durance rings. That is some commitment to laning phase. If he still loses lane after 2 Durance rings into tier sword start, that is really detrimental to him. I actually, looking at the setup for Froggy, I kind of expect him to try and match Malphite later on in the game. So he just wants the melee trades into Malphite with the grasp and just building AP, so Malphite is forced into some MR. I feel like that could be the angle here for the Diana, where you neutralize laning phase because Diana is just perma-push into LeBlanc, so LeBlanc can't really hurt her too much. And then mid-game you send the Jace with the team into the mid lane, and Diana goes into the side lane to catch waves against Malphite. If they play it like that, I would actually really like to see Froggy excel in the side lane on the Diana.
Yeah, and just now we see Gui potentially going for this Weapon gang on the top side. Some
angle?
already being pretty far down. Good knock-up angle from the side of Husband. And he forces the flash, might just follow up the play with a body slam as well. And they get first blood, shock blast landing, and that's a dead Malphite.
Oh, I didn't expect him to die there. Quite a lot of damage between the two of them.
Yeah, actually, yes. I mean, 2 Doran's items, just a bit of an HP bull difference. But I mean, the difference maker was really Husband just, I think, going for this good to the skies sideways knockback there to really get the Malphite into the lane, and then there's just a lot of space to cover, a lot of room to walk for the side of Thunder, and they just had enough time to really kill him there with all the spells being up on the side of the Gragas.
And I think a really, really good gank, because as we pointed out, Malphite built for lane there with the double Dorans, so he should be able to at least sustain himself in the laning phase. But if you kill him, now he's even farther behind. Look at him, he's 20 CS down. Enemy top laner is now sitting on tier plus Hex Drink, actually. Interesting choice there for Hasmid. I feel like Hasmid is also already looking at a potential lane swap, where Hex Drinker will really make a big difference into the trades of LeBlanc, but so far he's just going back to top lane, and now Malphite cannot touch him whatsoever. There's no kill potential ever in this lane, and I feel, whoa, that is not the screen we want to see. Okay.
Nice one, Observer. Either way, I think the Hexbringer is very interesting, because I want to hate it, but I actually can't hate it, because both against Malphite and against LeBlanc, it just nullifies any potential damage output there. I mean, we just don't see seismic sharpness from it. Yeah, deals a bit of a trick, but it's the kind of thing with combat method. You actually build it to poke the Jace out of the lane. You are supposed to win that lane, and the Hexbreaker just nullifies that completely. And he could go more aggressive, but he could just go straight at Dirk and just go for more aggressive options to really get the early lethality going on. But he really doesn't need to right now, so might as well just go for this one, and potentially for the lane swap, it would also be a good option, right?
I feel like Serrated Dirk into Malphite always feels better. Nice flash, easily done. Hasmid should be fine, but now Guri is here to collapse. Can they counter gank?
I think they can't. They can just walk out either way. Speaking about this Gragas performance, I mean, you were not liking the Gragas pickup much, and yeah, let's wait and see how Guri really plays it out. I mean, the first gank was already something that might just go more onto the convincing side, I gotta say, as we have seen this one. Guri now level 5, approaching level 6. If he finishes some more camps here in this enemy jungle, possibly, but there's not really anything to grab here. So he currently just looking to fish maybe for a gank opportunity, but doesn't find anything in the mid lane. His laner also not being present, of course, means he just goes back to farming. His whole bot side jungle is available for that. And for now, Saiga and Buffalo having pretty smooth sailing, right? They are scaling composition. They are not even losing their lanes right now. Just Foggy by a tiny bit, but it's just basically by a hair. In the melee versus range matchup, exactly that's what you would expect there.
Yeah, and so much sustain on Froggy now, building towards it might actually be
Abyssal Mask, right?
Abyssal Mask, yeah. I'm not entirely sure this is going to be a Rod of Ages. It looks like a Rod of Ages, but it might be Abyssal Mask here. It's Froggy. We need to wait for him to finish the dish. We can never predict what he's cooking. So,
yeah, that second Ruby Crystal, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Usually if you go what, you rush what. And that would mean he just doesn't buy it and just waits for the blasting one. He probably didn't have the money for it. Actually, buying this Ruby Crystal means for me that he will go for the Abyssal Mask option, yes.
Yeah, and I think it's very likely as well.
From Gui on the full AP Gragas.
Yeah, and he does have the damage on the other team members to afford going full tank, so I feel like this actually makes a lot of sense. Just pick Diana to completely take mid lane out of the equation. The enemy team built a mid-jungle composition centered around LeBlanc and Lee Sin, and then you just pick something that completely negates mid lane laning phase and gank opportunities whatsoever, because you just perma push and you're super tanky, so it's hard to kill you. I actually quite like this style of composition. Makes use of their big side lane advantages. As you can see, Shogun and Taki dominating this laning phase from start to finish. CS, they're up in CS. Okay, it's going to be rather equalized here. But, oh, we actually have a bit of a fight in the bot lane. There was ult from Shogun used, I believe.
I think Shogun was the one not ulting, right? The box bottom was actually
his ult was
actually
used.
It was both. As we see Hasmid actually falling prey to Tommy. I mean, the Hexwinker doesn't give you any stats for the Lee Sin fight, of course, and Lee Sin in the early game still to be respected, especially in the all-in, as you see the bot lane clash being out, Zodiac letting the Zenith play, but doesn't really get the follow-up needed by the side of Slows, who also uses his Ghost and his Flash because Guri is around, and he's level 6 right now. He wants to go for this one. Also, Taki going deep with the Abyssal Dive over there.
Oh, Taki!
Flash, Tongue Lash is there, but they can't quite get the killer, can they? Flash with the Baron and they get the first one. Do they get the second as well? They absolutely do. Double kill for Gui, and this Gragas is online.
Oh, that's such a huge swing for Saigon Buffalo. They get everything they wanted. Okay, they lost their top laner, but who cares? They got 2 platings out of this play and 2 kills to their jungler, who's now so accelerated. He's going to be insanely strong for mid-game fights. Oh, this is going sideways from MBE in such record time. 2k gold behind already. They lost the first dragon, and the Herald is not going to equalize the gold either. So Saigon Buffalo off to an amazing start. Let's have another look at this one. Hasmid is a level ahead. He expects to win against Tom Rio, but he gets just completely outplayed.
Just
yeah.
Yeah, the full combo from Lee Sin always hurts, especially the execute damage from the resonating strike, right? And if he can just land all his skills, the Jace just dies. That's just the unfortunate reality, especially with his item build choices he went. I don't want to say the item choice is wrong or anything, but if he itemizes like this, he can't afford to play this 1v1. But he gets the revenge in the picture, as we see it right here. So
What is Tom Ryu doing
at the end,
over
they
there?
probably fine for him.
Tom Ryu just wandering underneath enemy tower, tried to solo dive Hosmid it looked like, but unfortunately the frog showed up and killed him instantly, so that's a kill back to Hosmid, 4-1 in kills now. Saigon Buffalo on the second to last showing the split, actually looking like a top tier team. A bit late, my Buffaloes, why? Oh,
And
Shogun, this was
also-
risky.
Yeah, it is. But then if Blade not connecting, so he is fine for now and can just grab the wave and also push them off in the 1v2, also forcing the solar flare. Oh, I don't think that was needed by side of Zodiac, but actually, yeah, kudos to Saigon Buffalo in general. However, I mean, they play box esports. Looking like a top team versus them, it's like not the standard we should really measure them to. As they are, of course, having a very good game. As here we see the replay of the play we missed due to the other replay happening. It's Tomio. I mean, he has the Herald recall. I understand him going for this recall, but might just
And
be a bit
Tomru is
overwhelming.
actually 2 levels
He
up on
chooses to
Guri.
go for it.
Yeah,
That makes me mad.
Yeah, he's 2 levels up on Guri. I mean, if he lands the Q there, he gets the kill on Guri. So actually, I don't hate the play too much. He got the Gromp, so that's a steal already. He got on top of Guri pretty easily. Yikes. We don't talk about... What in the world is that? Okay. Interesting little observer bug, because Shogun was not on the map, but somehow stayed visible. But whatever, it doesn't matter. First tower actually going over to MBE. They took the Herald and put it to good use in the top lane to somewhat get back into the game. Actually, look at the gold. This was a huge swing.
It really was, because they won on both sides of the map. As here we see again what happened on the top side. Just a clean dive, executed by Tomio and Sunma. Of course, you can easily tank this turret for half an hour. And then the other side, of course, Gui, yeah, making it a little bit more looking like VCS Gragas with going for the fail dive play and then thus donating the gold to the side of Box Esports, who are now not equaling gold because there was another swing to the sides of Saigon Buffalo. And they were, I think, grabbing some plate money or something on the other side of the map in the meantime. But of course, in general, Box Esports now a little bit stabilizing at least. However, I addressed this earlier, they should be able to snowball this game, and so far, it's still not looking too hot in this direction. Here we see what the hell Gubi just did there. I think they disrespected the Feather Storm. Cast is going out.
Oh,
unlucky.
Okay, I mean, that was like centimeters off hitting the mark on Slows. I mean, Slows still had ultimate, so it was still a bit foolish from the side of Guri to expect to get the kill there, but Slows was playing with fire. If he's 1 pixel to the top of where he actually ended up, he probably insta-dies to the already awaiting barrel on the ground. So a bit lucky, maybe you could argue for Slows, but in the end, a really good comeback play. And this game is much closer than it was 5 minutes ago. MBE with a fighting chance now.
And it was Saigon Buffalo trying to dive a Featherstorm Zaya without a wave. That was a bit greedy, as here we see the next 3v3 maybe in the bot lane. With the Zenith landing explosive cast kind of disrupting the members from Box Esports. Exhaust on Tommy, who went in with the resonating strike, and it actually not following up to anything, as they, however, start off this Drake. Another thing I want to address, the item build from Froggy. He's kind of building everything at once right now. I think he just sits on the Catalyst and just now finishes Demonic Embrace, because he isn't really rushing the ward, which is a weird decision in general. But for now, I think he just needs a Catalyst for the laning phase, and then wants to prolong it further against the LeBlanc to really just survive the damage. As Box Esports get the reward, get this Drake on their side, and equalize the Drake score.
Yeah, and I feel like MB showing some really good signs here. Early on the season, I think they would just have bled out at this point and just lost the dragon, but instead they keep being proactive, and here's another kill. Nicely done.
Yeah, VCS Gragas may be coming online in this game, in a sad way, of course. I mean, that's the difference between full AP Gragas and what we usually see in the top lane, right? They usually have resources to just at least survive the initial combination from something like Lee Sin. Gui absolutely can't. If he gets hit by something, he just dies, and that's what we have seen just there. He dies, the turret dies as well. They have traded the top lane T1 turret early on, as Hasmut was taking business of this one. So Gold now very close to even, actually. Saigon Buffalo with a small lead, but not a very decisive lead for now.
Yeah, and in terms of team fighting, it's way easier to execute MBE's comp for now, I'd say, because Malphite is always just a big go button. Their Lee Sin is so strong that he can actually be a very aggressive bruiser in fights right now. He's not going to die that quickly at this point in the game with the Zeri only on one item, so those two can really... Okay, that's a lot of damage on Shogun. He should be fine though. But yeah, those two on the top side can really dictate the start of the fight, and much better so than Guri and Hasmid. Though Hasmid is very far ahead in gold, he still has to play carefully, right? He's a Jace after all. He's building squishy items. He's going to deal a decent amount of damage, but he can also die if he oversteps. So in terms of execution, or ease of execution, I should say, MBE with a little bit of an advantage in straight up 5v5 team fights.
Absolutely. As however, the Rift Herald now being started by the side of Box Esports. And no real direct reaction by the side of SGB. Actually, I think I like the Eclipse on the Jace because at least it gives like the little shield a little bit of pseudo tankiness, so to say. But the Rift Herald can of course be secured, and I think they still want to have like a revenge fight on the side of Saigon Buffalo to just go for the place here. And a very deep dive by the side of Froggy with the Moonfall, and Shogun opposite with the first kill, the Lightning Crash being there. They actually get the kill to Zodiac. Now dives deeply onto its Tomrio, which would be a very juicy shutdown. Shutdown actually goes for him. Shogun definitely rocking this fight for now, and Box Esports on the retreat didn't get a single kill, didn't even try to go for anything, wanted to take the Herald out, and they absolutely can't have that one.
Ooh. Whoever gets to the objective first loses, it seems. For now, Saigon Buffalo with a really nice collapse. And this is the power of playing very tanky Diana. She's not there to deal damage. She's there to set up the fight, to be the initiator of the fight, to keep everyone in place so Shogun can excel in the fight and actually get all the kills. That's 2 kills into the Zeri that was already ahead in terms of CS and gold. So she's accelerated on a build path towards item number 3. And Froggy, just look at how tanky he is. He's the main frontliner, then also gets saved by Taki, of course. So even more shielding. And Froggy just above 50% HP after the fight, after he tanked 5 members of the enemy team.
Yeah, and they actually managed to not kill the TPing out one on this side of Box Esports. Yeah, that's the thing with Diana, right? She can't really one-shot you anymore with this item build, but she's still such a huge disruption. Like with the CC, she can just go into anything and doesn't have to fear just getting blown up by anything. And if she actually plays like a melee duel against someone like the Zarya, she would actually win those at this point of the game still, because the ADCs aren't there with their mid-game power spikes yet, while she absolutely is so far. And Shogun just say thank you, right? He can just easily work with all the tools he has in his arsenal and just clean up those kills. You just now addressed it, right? He actually ended this fight with more than half of his HP while still being intact, and that's something that really shouldn't happen with these ADCs in those fights usually. But for Saigon Buffalo, they are cooking something special, but absolutely, it seems to be a tasty dish so far.
And it's a bit frustrating as a long-time Saigon Buffalo supporter to see them do this when they're already out of playoff contention. And this was always the strength of this team, of Froggy teams in general, to find something spicy, to find a different approach to team fighting, to make use of Froggy's very special skill set. He's one of the best melee mid laners I've seen play. He's amazing on Yona, on Aurelia, and all those champions that kind of fight a little bit differently. And now he pulls out the Diana, but the game is not really for much anymore, as Hasmid just dies.
Yeah, Unsolvable Force being landed, and Slows should just be able to close it out, and he actually can. Blade Caller being there. One pickup on the side of Box Esports, and Hasmid a bit overextending, but there is a crossbar play happening. Nugu being very low, but that's just the clone. Don't get baited by that one. As the main Nugu is escaping towards the bottom side, they might just chase for him, but instead they chase for the bigger reward, which will be this just now spawning Cloud Drake, and there's no way that Box Esports can contest this one.
In the end, the Dragon is more important. Back on track to their Dragon Soul now is Saigon Buffalo, giving up the second one. Maybe could have fought for that earlier, but at least they're now back onto the 4 Dragon snowball condition later on. And with their composition, I mean, Diana with extra movement speed sounds really pesky to play against. She can just chase and keep to you with all her damage. If she goes into Sunfire and stuff like that, W Sunfire, that's so much burn damage just by being right next to you. Let's see what Froggy decides to go for. She could also just go Nashos and stick to you with even more auto-attack damage. So I feel like this extra movement speed is gonna come in very handy for Froggy especially, to chase down people like Slows and even Nugu. So let's see what they're gonna do with their Dragon Soul later, if they ever get to a point where they get the Dragon Soul. For now, the game's still pretty even, but Crincy, I'm a bit worried looking at the mid lane. You talked about the snowballing potential, or the need to snowball even. And Nugu, not really been in this game at all. He's a passenger so far.
Yeah, he kind of just happens to be there, right?
Yeah.
Just a few CS down, a few assists down to Foggy. You can just look at him funny and maybe deal 20% of his HP, but with his full combo, which is not what LeBlanc really wants to do. The thing with LeBlanc, however, is she still has this assassination potential, even if she doesn't snowball against those super squishy targets. I think against Husband it would probably already be over, as he has the Hexwinker, he has the Eclipse, so as long as he can at least fire back a little bit, he would be able to have a second shield against him. There's still like a small potential to just blow up GUI if he just finds him with his chains. But if GUI plays correctly, it also shouldn't be that possible. So,
Okay.
kind of just fishing for the lucky play. As you will see, this mid lane Tier 1 skirmish going on. TP also coming out as well as an exhaust on towards Nugu. He can still further that one. And Taki burning both his summoner spells. Taki kind of being caught in that situation. And I think just one TP is not enough for the side of Saigon Buffalo. A little bit of a sleeper on this side.
I mean, to be fair though, Tom Rio also flashed and used Kick Flash to get Taki into his team, so it's a trade of flashes between Tom Rio and Taki, and I feel like that's a decent trade, because now Tom Rio is missing that extra playmaking opportunity to maybe get on top of something, someone like Shogun, who's extra safe with Cleanse and Flash still available to him. So next Dragon fight already looking a little bit rough without that playmaking potential available to MBE. They might have to concede yet another objective in 2.5 minutes.
If you just see Nugu TPing out of this situation because he was
Yeah,
afraid
he was
he
so
would be the
scared.
one getting collapsed on. This kind of spells demise to me because I think he could just weak over there. And there's also one playmaking potential being gone, a potential TP flank from LeBlanc. Of course, it doesn't sound as scary as a Malphite TP flanking, but still, LeBlanc, of course, one of those champions that can still destroy you if you are getting caught out in the wrong position. So that's just Box Esports losing another tool, and I think respecting Saigon Buffalo a tad too much. I think it isn't as doomed as they maybe themselves think it is. So for them, just though the Baron setup being started beside of Saigon Buffalo, and just some vision fights as we are used to see them. GUI is in the flank, so he can go for the play.
No.
Huge explosive cast coming out, they actually get Nugu down, and Shogun forcing the flank out of him, and Forgy actually netting the kill on towards him as Taki goes very, very low. Someone there with the Unstoppable Force, but he just hits Taki, that's not enough. Moonfall coming out, Hasmid with the second kill, Sunman
It's a
just
disaster!
dying, as well as the flash play, Shogun going for another play, and actually killing a Zodiac in this one, and Tomio might also fall. That's a double kill for Shogun, only slows alive as he watches his team fall to the ground. This will be the T2 to it being taken on the side of Saigon Buffalo, but actually not. They might just turn for the Baron.
Oh, it's a complete disaster for the side of MBE. They just missed the mark on a few kills, very overly focused on Taki, which in principle is good to kill the safety net under Shogun and just make him a little bit more accessible. But if you blow everything on just the support, you obviously can't win the fight. Nice try from Slows. Nice try, but not quite enough. Hasmid a bit strong.
But just stronger than him. What can you really say?
Yep.
Artemis would have won that one. Just kidding. Either way, very good GUI play here. Body slam into Cask, and Nugu just now has to go for those more scraps. His TP was already down, but that doesn't really matter. As you will see, Unstoppable Force onto Taki. But if you only kill Taki, it's not enough, right? He has to more people there if he's Malphite. Otherwise, in general, you can just ult out one target, but this one, not really going to many fruition, as Shogun can just easily clean this fight up. And it's just very being untouched, right? What can you really do?
Yeah, also the Malphite ultimate in the fight really not optimal there. Just a bit of tunnel vision onto Taki, which really did not pay off for them. And now, once again, Saigon Buffalo in a commanding position with the Baron. I think Shogun also finished his third item here, so he's now a very, very respectable Zeri player. Yeah, 650 gold on his hand as a bounty. Froggy looked stronger than he should be, looking at his items. He didn't even have 2 items in the fight. He still dealt so much damage. So the more I look at this composition, the more I like what I'm seeing. I feel like it's setting up Shogun in a way that they haven't done much of in this whole split so far, which is just create so much space with other annoying champions that Shogun can kind of do whatever he wants, just by virtue of the enemy team not having that much control to think about everyone in the team. But here we go again.
Yeah, the fight commands as well again. Unstoppable Force, the deep dive as well as the sword of from Zodiac just now following up. But the kills absolutely come in by the side of Saigon Buffalo. Box just really doesn't have the damage for it. There's a double kill coming by Nugu, but this probably won't be more, as now Shogun is lighting, just goes for the chase, can't really get the kills, but absolutely can get the structures as his inhibitor to it, and inhibitor is falling down in the mid lane. The same might happen. But this fight actually not as bad as I expected it to be. However, goes in. Blade Caller kind of saving his life.
Actually, not a bad fight, as you said. MBE gets the 2 for 2 kills on Nugu. Might propel them to the next item, maybe get into range to one-shot someone like Husmid, even though he has the Hex Drinker, of course. But a bit of gold onto the Assassin, not the worst. They're still 8k gold down and lost their first inhibitor of the game, with Dragon coming up or already on the map. Should just mean Saigon Buffalo gets an even bigger lead. Look at Tom Rio. 10 minutes ago, he would have been able to one-shot Shogun, but now Shogun is level 14. He's tanky enough to just walk away from the Lee Sin. Lee Sin is isolated on the other side. He did manage to kind of get Shogun out of the fight, to be fair, because Shogun was occupied running away from the Lee Sin and being scared. So maybe that was also one of the reasons why MBE was able to win on the other side, but that's not going to happen again if you fight on even terms or just normal ground, like a mid lane. So that was almost the best situation possible for MBE, and was only a 2-for-2. I can't really see them winning any team fights anymore.
Yeah, not really. I think Shogun could have played it a tad more aggressive, even because he was respecting Tomio very much by not really dropping even down below shield bar HP bar. And actually, just now, Froggy being stunned off, but he doesn't really care. Moonfall's still coming out for a little bit of a chunk, but not really mattering too much. Might have been a little bit of a fat thing on his side. And also Husmid's acceleration grade not really being placed ideally. Otherwise, he might just have finished off slows with the empowered shockblast over there. Either way, Saigon Buff probably still happy, even with that bad fight. It is a 2-for-2 from far ahead, which is not enough for them in general, but they still get the Drakes, they still get the structures, right? So it's probably fine for them. The base is now left open, mid inhibitor is exposed, and they might just keep sieging. Box Esports can't really pressure them too much.
Yeah, Box Esports now in desperation territory firmly, and maybe a combo of Tom Rio, Zodiac, and Sunmer can do something against Shogun. He does have the cleanse though, so it's not going to be easy. You have to try something though. The engage tools are there. Sure, you don't have the same DPS as the enemy team, and you're just going to lose long team fights, but maybe you can eliminate one of the main carries quickly and then go from there. Slows does have 2 items under his belt as well, maybe even going on 3, so there is some decent finishing potential on Slows as well. So I want to see one more Hail Mary, just go on top of Shogun, try to kill him, and see where you can go from there.
Yeah, my eyes are actually onto Gui because he has his flash available, and flash body slam doesn't really have much counterplay, and you can easily follow it up with a potential explosive cast to just easily disrupt all members of Box Esports. But for now, they're kind of chilling. I mean, there's no need to rush on the side of Saigon Buffalo, right? They are so far ahead, they are firing lots of limits. It is potential soul point for them, or they already are on soul point. It is a soul for them potentially in 3 minutes, and the Baron spawning in a bit more than 1 minute, so they might just regroup. Spent all the gold they just got from all those pushes. There must have been a lot of standing gold picked up for them, so they also just need to use the gold advantage they really have on the map and just regroup for potential Baron. They downed the bot inhibitor, which is far away from the Baron itself, so it should be a very easy Baron dance for them to win out against Box Esports and just force them to an unsolvable problem.
Yeah, and let's take another look at the items. Actually, ADC items not too far apart. Like, there's a bit of extra armor penetration. Okay, now it's a full item. Never mind. Now the item was just
it's just one full LDR. Yeah. No biggie.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't the case a few seconds ago, to be fair.
I'm just kidding.
But mid lane is actually in favor of Nugu slightly. Actually, kind of even. But top lane is another huge difference. But then again, Husmid, pretty squishy champion. If you get on top of him, if you eliminate the top laner by maybe Sunma Flash ulting on top of him, you get rid of a lot of gold there. That's probably their 12, 13k gold underneath Husmid, so maybe Husmid is actually the target you should aim for, because he's a little bit easier to kill than Shogun, I'd argue.
Speaking about that though, he got rid of a lot of chunks of the HP buff from Nugu right there with that former empowered shock blast really landing, and the poke was also something that Box Esports probably can't win against Husmid as long as Husmid is not really inting his positioning over here. And I mean, Saigon Buffalo can just wait, right? The super minions in the bot lane are starting to creep into the enemy base, and as long as they aren't really hard losing a fight,
it's double flash
for them. Explosive cast, very underwhelming actually. But Foggy once more, he goes for the Moonfall over there. Zodiac forced to use his flash, if I remember correctly. And here the next fight was starting. Forced the flash defensively for the side of Sunmer, and they can just, replay the same game ever again, right? The ultimates are down, but they got so many summoner spells, and now Box needs to respond to the bot lane push from the supers, because they are on the Nexus turrets. Will be a free Baron for Saigon Buffalo.
Very nicely played from Saigon Buffalo. Patient, just relying on their poke, relying on their positioning, using their disengage and chase potential to slowly whittle away at the health bath. And now Slows, what have you done?
Those in the middle of the fight, Featherstone can't really keep you safe over there. Defensive observable force by the side of Sunmet. He might just die anyway, not quite with the shock blast from Hasmet, but the free pick on the AD carry, the main wave clear tool, even because you have a LeBlanc in the mid lane, and this might just end the game right here. Saigon Buffalo maybe with the last push in the game.
Slows with a cardinal sin. They're just overstepping when you know the enemy team is at Baron, and here is Saigon Buffalo's last push into the base.
Yeah, there it is. Hasmet going in a huge chunk and just Zodiac falls to the prey. He's tanky, but not tanky enough. Shogun now clearing up this Nexus turret. This will be the final push for the side of Saigon Buffalo. They end the game in not the most clean fashion in general against Box Esport, but they definitely show that there is still a class difference between the 5th place team and the 8th place team.
I actually feel like this was one of the best games Saigon Buffalo has played in a very long time. Kind of methodical and a lot of really good engages. Very dominant victory here. But a bit too late. They can't make playoffs anymore. They can go out before their last series, of course, on Sunday against GAM with a bit of a bang, which would be nice to see. But it's only game 1. We know how Saigon Buffalo usually goes. They like to play 3 games in almost all of the series. As we have a look at the damage, that is an overwhelming damage advantage in every single position, Crincy. Every position dealt more damage than the opponent.
It looks very satisfying too, because they all did roughly the same damage, right? Like from Froggy to Hasmet, there's like a 3k difference, and they all did around like 20k, a little bit more on the average, I guess. Either way, also very hard to pinpoint an MVP for me, but that's just a different discussion altogether. As I just want to hear your opinion on GUI and VCS Gragas in general. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you do like a bit of both?
Yeah, a bit of both. I think this was one of the better VCS Gragases. He's now plus more than 30% win rate after this game, as he was sitting at 29%. So we have finally cracked the 30% on this unbelievably broken champion.
Nice.
I do think his early game rotations were really nice. He set up his top laner for success very early on, but then he also fumbled a few plays. In general, I felt like it was a decent showing for Guri, and yeah, I give him the pass. I give him the Gragas allowance. He's allowed to play it again.
The driver's license, right? And you can't just get your win rate up if you don't play the champion. So we need to see more Gragas games, more practice on stage for the VCS players, as we will fix that Gragas win rate and get it back closer to the 50% mark.
That's still very far away, but maybe Guri can actually put in a little bit more work in game number 2, as we head to a short break after Saigon Buffalo strike first in series number 1 of day number 3 already in the last super week of the regular season. So we're going to be back in about 9 minutes or so for game number 2, MBE against Saigon Buffalo. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone, to game number 2 of our day number 3 in VCS English, week 7, last week of our regular season. We have MGN Box Esports with their last ever series, at least in Spring Split. We never know. They're going to come back or not. Who knows? Playing against Saigon Buffalo, the big disappointment of the split. Sorry. I am working I have too much Scrum in my mind. Split and sprint is a complete... I will always make this mistake, I'm very sorry. But Saigon Buffalo with a decent victory in game number 1. Can they actually manage to win 2-0? Something that has eluded them for the whole season so far. Princey, what do they have to do to double down and actually walk away with a quick 2-0 dominating win over MGN today?
I mean, just don't reinvent the wheel. Just try the same thing over and over again. And against Box Esports, it probably will work. I just gotta say, it was a bit of a sprint for Sunma in game 1 because his Malphite performance wasn't really what we have hoped for. Which is kind of sad because we both liked the draft from Box Esports. It wasn't very easy to play draft. Also, very good answers into what Saigon Buffalo really brought to the table. Malphite into multiple auto attackers, Diana even being one of them. And actually just having very strong lanes, very strong with jungle duo. But it just wasn't enough. They just aren't good enough, sadly, to snowball against a team of Saigon Buffalo's caliber. And that's what was ultimately their demise. Maybe for game 2 a different approach for them, but Saigon Buffalo for now, their adaptations aren't really forced for Box Esports more so than the other way around.
Yeah, and for Box Esports, I don't really see much that has to change in draft, as you just mentioned. We liked the draft, and we thought it was easier to play, and they still failed to be able to play it. I think a big problem, as we actually teased before the series started, was the top lane, so... maybe we can find something that Sunma is even more comfortable with than just the Malphite, even though it was a good pick in the draft, as we had into the same draft already on my screen. MGN now on blue side, banning away 3 support picks, I'd argue. Maybe 1 ADC and 2 supports, as Taki played a lot of Ashe and a lot of support Caitlyn, so this is actually aimed at Taki. A lot of respect, and 6 bot lane bans across both teams, actually.
Yeah, it just goes to show you that bot lane is indeed broken and it's not the other role. So you as an ADC main definitely call out in that regard. Actually, considering the Ashe pick, it's a new patch right now. So it might just be an ADC Ashe ban, but in recent history, it definitely has been aimed towards Taki. I gotta agree on that one. As GUI just gets to get his Gragas again, likely. Gragas plus Jace rotation for Saigon Buffalo, and I said it right. They don't need to adapt for now.
30%.
To show them that they are forced to adapt. And 30% win rate. Considering it's Saigon Buffalo against Box, it might just go to like 32% after this game.
Let's go. We slowly improve the Gragas win rate. Yeah. Okay, they actually double down again with the LeBlanc, which is so risky. Enemy team could just go for the same comp again. Like, I don't see any reason not to go for Froggy's Diana. That just looked like the perfect neutralizing pick in the mid lane. Once again, and completely shut out Nugu from the game. I do like this hover here, trying to pick away one of the things that made Shogun look really strong in the last game. He was so comfortable just scaling up and be the teamfight got on his Zeri. So now picking away the Zeri, so at least they force a slight adaptation to Saigon Buffalo's comp.
But here's what you like, right? Froggy Diana already in, and now what I want to see from the side of Box Esports is banning away picks like the Zaya. Otherwise, it could just be Shogun showing that he can win both the initial matchup in the Zeri with the Zaya, but also the reverse of it, as the Diana gets locked in for the side of SGB. Now there's some bot lane bans targeted towards the strong support options for Zeri, Lulu being taken away, maybe something like a Leona could also get banned away, Nautilus already being banned, so the classic non-enchanter support options for the Zeri are off the table after this ban phase, I suppose. I think Renata might be a ban option, but they actually go for the Rakan, as Zaya is already being downed, of course. Rakan still works at Zeri, so that ban makes a lot of sense. I just wonder what ADC Shogun will now go for. There's still something left open, like the Aphelios or Jinx for now. I think one of those plus Fresh would probably be the option.
Yeah, he's by far the best Aphelios in the league, so I really expect him to go for Aphelios here. I think that's his absolute special pick. He has been amazing on this champion.
Maybe Fresh ban?
And there's the ban.
No.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Now he might have to go to Jinx, and there it is. ADC meta is Jinx really easy to predict today. It's just we're back to Aphelios Jinx with a little bit of a sprinkle of Zeri and some Lucian in there, but in essence, we're back to the hyper carries. And of course, we have Shogun on an hyper carry. I'd say Jinx is more the Artemis champion so far in the history of the VCS, and Style actually. Very good Jinx player, Style as well. So let's see how Shogun can do on this pick. so far not the biggest amount of protection in his team composition, so he will have to rely on his own mechanics and positioning slightly more than the last game, where Zeri has a few more options herself to keep herself safe. So this is a little bit more of a challenge. And the Blitzcrank Open was banned last game, so we might see the Blitzcrank here, also preventing the Thresh, maybe.
I mean, preventing, not really. It's a good pick, just with that one. Jinx Fresh probably just still what they are really seeing from a mile away. Actually, what they could do is like pick Fresh themselves to deny it, but don't play Zeri Fresh. Alistar could be an option that I see. And Summer going back to the Sejuani, which is not a huge surprise. He played against Yoshino yesterday and got destroyed in laning phase, then built Word of Ages on Sejuani and actually managed to outscale him brutally.
Time for Spice.
Just pick Fresh, but I'm just angry about one thing. I think Second Buffalo could have picked in order. Very obvious right now, but Husband and Guri just could have changed their picks.
Yes! Yes!
Let's go! And it's actually Rumble.
It's Rumble support, it's Saki. You know, it's so good into Braum. It completely destroys him in lane. I love this. Okay, Great. Beast, I hope you're watching. This is special. I've played with a lot because we like to experiment with Rumble and bot lane when I play with Beasts. And this champion wins every trade. It's so ridiculous. It deals such an insane amount of damage. So I like to see it. Of course, Rumble not the greatest in team fights against Braum, because Braum can kind of completely negate his ultimate, but he will suffer in laning phase. And Taki likes his spicy lane picks. So this has made me really excited for this game.
Can you nullify the equalizer with the unstoppable alone? Does that work?
With
such a projectile?
Yeah, it is. You can, if you actually catch it with a Braum shield, it's gonna be cut. Like, it doesn't actually go with it.
It's disgusting, actually. But either way, I don't hate the Rumble pick. I just think you could have picked Fresh anyway to just have the guaranteed protection for the side of Shogun. And now
you're not allowed
Shogun
to play
just a harder job
when there's a Braum. And you can counterpick Braum with any enchanter and just completely run away with the game because Braum is not a champion anymore.
Yes,
this would have been a Sona angle.
It's Rumble and Enchanter, you way.
He's a mage. Mage is fine too. Mage is fine too. You can go. You can go like Zyra or whatever because it's a Braum. It's so easy.
Yes, you beat the Braum, but can you actually protect your Jinx is a question, because that's like a more important part for me. I mean, you could have picked, still, even if you hate Fresh into Braum, which is understandable, you could have picked Renata or something to just enchant the Jinx anyway. And there were some options, right? I mean, Karma was also open. I mean, Karma against Braum is also like very horrible for the Braum side. Double range
Melio angle.
Melio, actually, but Melio's probably not allowed to play.
Yeah, he's not allowed, unfortunately. I
Which
played my first ever games of Melio yesterday. This champion is amazing. If you haven't played this champion and you like playing enchanters, go log in, play some Melio on the second screen. That champion is so much fun to play. It's like a modern version of Janna, and even more fun than playing Janna. I had an amazing time yesterday, but unfortunately we have to wait for later.
Oh no, it's Disco Rumble. Cleanse goes, he's trolling the team. He's running it down. It's like a Buffalo to 1 angle again.
Taki has done this before. I'm sure Taki has played Ghost Rumble in support before. I think I've seen it before. We need to check.
I've seen it somewhere. I think it's either him or Carrier.
Yeah, it's Taki.
I mean, those two know each other. It's actually Taki.
I think even last year he started playing Rumble support in some of the games. I will check.
You know, though, these things are not mutually exclusive. It could be both.
Yeah, true. But Taki's the original.
I think those supports are just the best chefs in the league, right? They cook the special stuff and actually cook it well. So let's wait and see what they really can do here. Although I think Melio would have been a great angle here if he would be allowed to play it, but he just isn't, which is sad. Either way, I'm very excited to see a good Rumble support performance. Haven't seen it myself, but as I said before, I don't hate it, right? It should easily destroy something like a Braum. I mean, Braum in general good against melee champions, right? But you just can't deal with the flamethrower very well if you just have to walk up towards him. And yeah, this might be a rough game for Zodiac. However, I could just see the angle of Box Esports just blowing up Shogun, so Shogun has to position very, very carefully.
So there's 2 games on Rumble all time, 1 win, 1 loss. I'm trying to find it in his match history. They are from a while ago. Fortunately not them in the Leaguepedia stats because they only go back to summer playoffs, and it seems to have happened before summer playoffs. So maybe someone else who has a little bit more time can find some Rumble stats for Taki, but we can also just look at him in lane. So the thing about new Rumble that makes him actually quite a good bot laner, either as carry or as support, is his E just deals insane amounts of damage, and you can kind of perma-spam it. So, yeah, it's really hard to out-trade him, and especially with melee supports, they also run into his flamethrower. So it's both the E and the Q that's just gonna annihilate any melee support that's trying to play into him, as Froggy in a bit of trouble in mid lane here.
Bit of trouble. Also a bit of trouble for Nugu though, as he goes down to the clone passive, which is something that's a bit unfortunate for him. As Guria, he just wants in. No, Tommy has blown some cooldowns right now and gets a huge chunk out of him. That's a Gragas without items, by the way. The champion seems very balanced at the moment. And why is Froggy so far up in the 1v2? I don't quite know. Probably feeling very confident with the wave, just being in such a huge push over there, and just wants to make sure this goes into the turret, so there can't be a little bit of a freeze. Because a little bit of a freeze would be like the most disgusting nightmare for him as a middle champion against a range champion, being forced to just being denied the wave. Seems very horrible. But Guri with a very huge invade play here.
Yeah, and this is also the style Froggy likes to play, right? He's just perma-pushing lane, kind of disregarding the enemy champion, and giving his jungler an opportunity to do whatever they like. Usually this was what gave them success with BeanJ in the roster, but it seems like Froggy has finally also accepted Guri as the recipient of all his pressure. So now Guri in a good position to accelerate towards topside. And look at this. This is actually triple lane push style from Saigon Buffalo, as the bot lane is under the enemy tower, and MBE, they had an opportunity to maybe play towards bot lane and try to punish this overpush from the no-flash Taki. But instead, they actually tried to counterplay the invade and now lost on all 3 sides of the map. So a bit unfortunate for MGN.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Also, Sunmo on the Sejuani Ignite pickup. Usually something that is just picked to have this kill pressure against these squishy champions like Menina was initially the counter pick against that one. Against Jason should work similarly. And it is a very close 1v1. But actually going Hasmet's way. Solo ball, a very first offer for him. Against the Ignite even. Hasmet is just better than Sunma.
That is a true statement. I don't think anyone will ever contest that one. And this is with Hasmet's worst split of his life, I believe. Maybe back in the Razor days he was worse, but botlane, this, we should not go into replay here. This is some risky replay business, but it seems to be fine because we're not out of the replay yet. And Hasmet just chases him down. Sunma overestimating his damage. The Ignite actually cut it close, but then he doesn't have the flash to follow up with the auto attack. And nothing happened in bot lane, apparently.
And then Triumph kicks in and he isn't even that, he doesn't even make it look that close either way. And of course, like, Jace is not as squishy as a Menina would be, so this kind of all-in kill window doesn't work as good. But the wave is in, the members are low. Froggy wants to dive this play and just goes for the strike. And here's the Moonfall coming out. He's exhausted, but he might still have the damage, but he just gets stunned up by the bomb. But he still gets the bomb.
No way!
Excited Jinx being Shogun spray, and now Goo is in the play. They just follow up the play and get Tomio really low. Actually, Shogun being dying under the turret. And can Gui finish at least 1 kill before going down? He actually can. Tomio being down, the wave now being in, and Gui might live this one as he gets the body slam out of it. Nugu now being zoned away by Taki. This is a huge W for Saigon Buffalo.
What an absolute mess in the bot lane. Okay. Saigon Buffalo playing with a lot of pressure there. And the bot lane played with no respect whatsoever in terms of positioning. They just ran under tower 2v3 because they knew they had better positioning. And then Froggy came in. Now, Froggy if Froggy's level 6, they insta-kill all 3 of them. Unfortunately, he's only level 5, so he barely gets away with a kill. Shogun executes another one with a nice little cheeky flash auto attack. And then this is just a bit rough to watch, but Guri gets the job done, and Nugud has no damage in the early game. So we walk out with 3-2, I believe, in favor of Saigon Buffalo. Also deny the wave. Okay, this is some risky attempt. Shogun does have the cleanse, and they don't even land everything. Oh my god, cut the tape. No.
Cut the tape, but this might just be another kill because Taki is still cooking. And actually, flash forward to the side of Sugar, but he just barely doesn't die. This is so sad. I actually respect Zodiac for trying, but he just now kind of looks like a clown.
Ooh, actually, using alpaca emote there, Shogun. A bit of a deft shout out, good to see. But we saw some of the power of Taki's damage there in the counter dive. That was instant. That was instantaneous into lethal range, just because Taki's damage under tower with the. I think he was also in the. How's it called? The overcharge mode.
Overheat.
He wasn't quite overheat. He was in the yellow zone, so extra damage on all his abilities and extra shielding and stuff. But
the best rumble zone.
Yeah, of course.
As we see Hextech Drake being rushed down, but Taki might be in trouble.
Yeah,
he is on cleanse ghost, so he could still cleanse. he might just actually be fine.
Oh, no.
Or just wait for the returning play. The bait is in, and actually Tomio the one being dying first. Moonfall falling down, double kill for Froggy, and this time Froggy is confident, actually going for some more AP in his item build. But right now, why not? I mean, we just not saw what he can do pre-6 when he is exhausted. This is now Froggy on some AP Diana shenanigans with level 6 and without the exhaust. This Diana hurts.
Yeah, this Diana is now the main carry. Froggy looked at Shogun, was like, okay, I set you up for success last game. Now is my time to shine on the same champion again, with Grasp again. So I'm not entirely sure where his build is going to go. Maybe he actually opts into the early Rot of Ages this time, because this could still go there for a little bit of extra sustain and scaling. With the early advantage, that could be a very early Rot of Ages. Instead, it looks like a Rylite Rush or something. It's probably just going to be...
demonic, like
demonic, yeah.
It's demonic.
It's sad.
Just a bit of damage, bit of tankiness, and it just gets juiced up the longer the fight goes. Some burn damage, Yandris without having to go the Mythic. And it's just the same item as last game, just with different component order, I guess. I think he still goes for the Abyssal Mask.
Look at that AE damage from Taki!
That's absolutely disgusting. The way Shogun just now being focused on, but now he's without Summoners, but he can actually get Dove right here, and Tomio goes for the play,
Taki.
but he just can't quite finish up the kill into Shogun. The Rocket not quite hitting, so he can't get excited over there. It will just be the kill to Taki, and now Nugas here should get the kill into Shogun right here. It will be the kill, and I just gotta respect them. That was a good dive box.
Very nicely set up there, making use of the level 6, and also Tom Rio coming in with his level 6, double level 6 ultimate collapse on Shogun and Taki. They thought they had the damage to fight back, but not quite there. If Shogun's ult lands and they get the execution, Shogun actually has a slight window with Triumph probably coming in to fight of the whole dive, but unfortunately he doesn't land the ultimate. But Slows is overstabbed. No.
Yeah, that seems to be a dead Slows. Froggy landing the Crescent Strike and just getting the kill on towards the enemy ADC. So, just one small revenge play by Satisfying and Buffalo after this very good dive play from Side of Box Esports. Herald also being in their vicinity, getting it taken, and actually getting many platings in the top side as well, as Sunmer, sadly this game, is yet again getting destroyed by the enemy top laner. We saw the solo kill earlier, he's down 30 CS, and really fails to find his impact. He's also on the catalyst, so I wonder if he's going similar words to Froggy and just going Abyssal Mask, or he actually just goes Rot of Ages again, and this just doesn't need to happen. This is unnecessary. Yeah, you don't need to recall over there.
So lazy from Slows. He even uses
also burns the ghost.
Yeah, that was just... I mean, it was unfortunate, but also just so unnecessary.
And if you ghost, might as well ghost instantly, so you might actually get out, or just ghost it out, don't burn the cooldown. It's a not that high cooldown, but it's still like 3 minutes. Like, that's more than most ultimates are. So definitely something that doesn't need to happen. And just dying in the first place over there seems unnecessary.
Yeah, Taki just used his ghost to run around the corner a bit more quickly, which was an interesting choice, but I mean, it's Ghost, so maybe not the biggest loss ever.
I just mentioned I don't put Ghost such a high cooldown, and Taki's like, nah, screw you, man. I just put Ghost for just walking funnily.
It does look very funny on the skin, to be fair to him. It does look very funny.
Yeah, that's just Rumble, though.
What is going on with the movement? Everyone just walking around in circles. It looks like Saigon Buffalo. Weirdly enough, Froggy, he wasn't even defensively minded at all. He was trying to set up the bot dive, but with his movement towards bot, he avoided the three-man collapse on him in mid lane. And weirdly, everyone just walking around each other and nothing happens. In the end, Shogun still gets the plating for himself. There we go, 175 gold into the Jinx, who's now in a decent position again on one stack of the Cull, so she really wants to stay for at least one more minion.
One more. That's a 350. That's such a huge gold swing, actually. I mean, why do I say gold swing? It's just a huge increase, right? It was like 4.5k early on. They are almost 5k gold ahead at 12 minutes. This seems like a disgusting game for Saigon Buffalo so far, and might just be on their way to make it a quick one. Also, Sunma, I don't even hate the Rot of Ages in general, like in even game state, but they are so far down already, and I don't think he will even finish the 10-minute completion at any time soon.
No, he will not. we can set up a
this game goes on like this game ends at like 22 minutes, so yeah, good luck, man.
Yeah, let's set up a little bet here. Does Sunma get a fully stacked Rot of Ages before the game ends? I would vote
we always trash talk battles, but this is like an interesting bet for once.
Yeah, I don't think so. I can't see it happening.
Don't give the betting mafia ideas for interesting bets. Will Sunma finish his Rot of Ages or not? Either way, Observer showing us the gold, which is of course very much in Saigon Buffalo's favor. Most of the gold lead actually on the top side, right? Shogun is not even that far ahead of Slows. It's kind of a surprise to me. Just a bit of gold ahead on the Jinx. And he's actually going Gale Force instead of Kraken Slayer this game. Might just be due to the fact that they don't really have a Thresh or a Tom Kenji or anything. And he just needs that little bit of self-peel on his side. And I just gotta say, the extra damage not really needed. I mean, all 5 members of Saigon Buffalo deal very high amounts of damage. So why not go for Gale Force?
Absolutely. I mean, Gale Force Jinx always feels a bit meh on the Jinx play, but yeah, I agree with you. She needs the extra self-peel in this game as well, because as we pointed out in draft, and as you criticized a lot, Rumble is really not there to protect the Jinx. Rumble kind of just forgets about his ADC later on in the game. So it's all on Shogun himself. He has to fend for himself.
I see it now. He protects in a different way. He just kills the enemies so that the fight is gone.
Yeah. That's exactly
also
what he wants to do. Well,
sorry for doubting Tarky a little bit on that one, as there's a little bit of a lull right now. I mean, Cloud Drakes are the next one spawning. It's of course a very strong soul like any soul in the game, but 4 more minutes because they just now took the Infernal Drake on the side of Saigon Buffalo. Just some minion waves being shoved around, and maybe the next Herald, the objective of choice for Saigon Buffalo, as there's 90 seconds for that one. Just now some vision being secured by the side of Nugu in the river area.
And our bet is going quite well. We have, I think, almost 80k points against Sanma right now. So your opportunity to earn a lot of Rebel franks just by putting a bit of faith into Sanma, and maybe more faith in MBE, because if they can stall the game to 25 minutes, maybe 26, Sanma should be getting to his fully stacked Rod of Ages if he actually recalls soon.
He just now built a single M tome, which would delay it even further, so it's not looking good for the batters in favor of the Rod of Ages for completion. So.
Unfortunately not, no.
Well,
the stakes are high. You're getting big returns here. It's 77.
He just now finished it. 10 minutes, the clock is ticking.
Yeah, 14, 24, 38, I think was the timer there. So we are now waiting for Sanma to complete some of the stacks on this Rod of Ages. I don't think he's gonna do anything in the game, but maybe, just maybe, he can complete the stacks later on.
I think it might just be a very close case of him actually getting the completion, but the game being de facto over at this point.
True.
I think he actually might be favorable to the meta, because you still wait for Baron at least, even if you are stomping the enemy team, which is what Saigon Buffalo are doing right now. Like, see, like they're so far ahead right now, but there's just nothing to take, right? Herald is like the next thing that's spawning, and there's a Drake in a few minutes, but just now they're absolutely far ahead, but there's nothing really to take. It's absolutely funny to see. Maybe a tier 1 to it in the bot lane, but you can't just dive everything as you like to see it. And yeah, Herald probably what they are just now going for. And due to the nature of this, even in this storm situation, Sanma might be able to complete it.
Yeah, this is the time of game in solo queue or flex or whatever, where you're so far ahead as a team that there's nothing to do, so everyone gets bored and everyone starts inting, and then everyone gets super tilted and you lose the game in 5 minutes because for no reason whatsoever you gave up so many kills in the mid game because there's nothing to do on the map. So good to see Saigon Buffalo not falling into that so far, but Slows at least gets 1 tower back and accelerates towards the second item a bit.
Can you guess what I am surprised about in this situation?
Not really, no.
No objective bounty. I expected it to be there by now. I mean, they are so far down now in the 50-minute mark, and they should be like enabled very, very soon if this game keeps going on like this. However, Herald secured by the side of Saigon Buffalo, no contest as we expected. And the bounties should be in there. I mean, they should probably like get a third of though before they can really establish that lead so far. But I think this will be very close to being the case, as they might just accompany their team members together with the Herald push. 1 charge is enough to kill this mid and tier 1 turret, which is like the beacon of map control, and this one thing that might just stabilize the game enough for MBE, and especially for Sanma, of course, to finish his Rod of Ages.
Oh yeah, I think some bettors are getting a little bit worried about their 77k points on Sanma not completing, but here we go. This is finally the force we want to see. Saigon Buffalo with a little bit of a siege. Unfortunately, there's a lot of wave clear on the side of MBE, so it's kind of hard for Saigon Buffalo to advance the map state. They do want the turret before the dragon is spawning in 40 seconds. But they do have the Herald, so that should at least be 1 tower. Maybe they can even walk it onto the second tower and get 2 mid towers, crack them open. Froggy wants to
It's not
go.
the most efficient push, but yes, we see the first team fight going on with this situation. Lightning Crash being down, but Zodiac barely survived. It will actually not be a single kill in this fight. Actually, a good defense coming up by Box Esports to defend this Herald charge. So ultimately, it nets them 0 kills.
Yeah, but it's still a good force from Saigon Buffalo. They get the tower, and now a lot of map control. Look at all the wards from the Saigon Buffalo penetrating into the enemy bot side jungle even. So enemy team can't ever get close to the dragon, and of course dragon is spawning in a few seconds, so that's going to be dragon number 3 for the side of Saigon Buffalo. An easy path towards win condition number 2, which is just wait for the dragon soul and then go on from there. Double cloud soul. I would love that, especially if I'm Rumble. That cloud soul is so tasty.
Gotta go fast, right? I mean,
You gotta go very fast. Ghost and Cloud Soul. 600 movement speed. Let's go.
This cap shield just gives you a lot. I mean, movement speed is diminishing returns, but it's diminishing returns because otherwise it just would be so insanely broken. And it might arguably still be broken even with the diminishing returns. So this will be the Cloud Drake number 3, or the Drake number 3, I've gotta say. So very early soul point for them. Soul point hitting very shortly before the WOT would be completed for Summer. I mean, we just keep saying it over and over again, or at least I do. But I mean, Baron, of course, the next big focus now, as it will spawn a bit more than the mid for Saigon Buffalo.
Wow.
And considering how far ahead they are, how good poke they really have, and how good the catch potential is, they might just go for an early Baron. I mean, the damage is absolutely insane. Just needs to be the question who tanks it. But Foggy can probably do it. Foggy, however, is focused down here. Actually gets to eat a lot of damage.
Still alive.
Actually falls down in the turret, or just survives for half an hour, but ultimately to no direct return fire. But speaking of return fire, that's definitely fire. Taki with the damage towards Sunma, get the return kill number 1. The rocket flies and slows goes down. Excited Shogun on the other side of the map as he's pushing down this mid lane tier 2 turret. And Saigon Buffalo, even in the scrappy fight, absolutely wins.
Let's go, Taki. Show him. Show him the power of Rumble support. That was some disgusting damage onto Sanma. I think Taki wins the 1v1 right now against Sanma, even though he's 2 levels down. But that's a little bit more, a few more objectives for Saigon Buffalo, opening up the map. Will they go for the spawn Baron? There's an interesting TP coming in. Who just TP'd there? Nugu, are you alright? Hello, Nugu?
He hates Taki. He hates the Rumble support. Pick actually get the kill, but is it worth it? The question. I mean, using both summoners spells for it, and probably his own life. He used a lot of resources for that one. Actually giving a shutdown to Hasmet. Nope, I respect the effort, but this ain't it.
Hello? Are you still here?
Hello?
Ah, okay.
Am I gone?
You cut out for like half a second. Nothing to worry about.
I'm sorry.
Now the Baron is open and spawned on the map, so maybe Saigon Buffalo can go there and try to force the game. 5 stacks. We have 5 minutes left. A little less than 5 minutes. Actually, the 6th stack should come in a few seconds. So they're cutting it close now. And if Saigon Buffalo doesn't go for the Baron, I don't really see them finishing the game before Sunma is fully stacked. So seems like Bank is gonna win against our viewers, unfortunately. But maybe there's one more opportunity for Saigon Buffalo. If they find a good fight and just run it down mid, they could still finish in time.
Might be. I mean, why do you say bang? I mean, I bet 420 Rebel Franks in favor of the World of Ages.
Oh, you did?
So...
Okay.
Yeah, I did. Prediction was falling out. I was like, I fancy my chances. Either way, what I now expect to happen is the following. Baron bait from Saigon Buffalo. They go for the fight. They full 8 the fight. And don't even go for the Baron. Go for the win instead. And just barely net it out the win before the World of Ages is completed.
Here it comes.
Happening. Either way, Foggy now, with the Moonfall coming in and they actually get down, I think it's Zodiac who's falling down. As Shogun is getting excited over there. 1 kill for the side of Saigon Buffalo against Box Esports, but this is all they are taking. Nugu now with a very optimistic push forward. Actually gets flashed on Basmet to the sky, that's chugging out by him, and Nugu just barely surviving with the blast cloud just helping him. But this might just be the Baron call. 1 kill being down for them. Nugu is super low. He doesn't have TP, but needs to base, and Taki is bloodless. He's having his eyes onto him, and now the Baron is started.
Yeah, Taki unfortunately can't flash over the wall because he didn't bring a flash, so that's out of the question. This Baron should go down rather easily. MBE is posturing though. They want to contest. This could be a turning point in the game if they steal away the Baron with the objective bounties that have finally appeared on the map. That's Saigon Buffalo forced to move away again. Without some of the important ultimates, they can't really force the defensive fight around the Baron and lose some more time. 22 minutes on the clock. Dragon is coming up as well. Saigon Buffalo is still in a very good position to finish the game, of course, but in a pretty bad position to finish the game before the last 3 stacks take over for Sunma.
I think they could have went for the Baron and they just decided that just going for a trap is like the more high percentage play. which I can kind of understand, but I think the Baron would have been within the Rams to really finish off either way. They probably just now go for the Soul, as it is so close up for the taking for them, and just such an easy objective to really secure, right? Because I mean, the Cloud Drake, not really as tanky, doesn't really hit you as hard as a Baron would, doesn't even stretch resistances as the Baron does. So now Saigon Buffalo posturing on the mid lane part of the map and just now forcing the other members out, securing some vision control maybe, because for a team that's so far ahead, they have surprisingly little vision control over the Drake area, so close before the Drake is spawning. Nugu might just be chased down by Foggy, but no, Foggy not really going for it, just wants to grab the wave.
We're waiting for the dragon to spawn at this point, 35 seconds away, and I don't see anything that MBE could do to contest this dragon, so we're very likely looking at another Dragon Soul coming up shortly for SGB. They do need to keep playing from ahead, because, I mean, their advantage is quite big. It's 8k gold, roundabout, maybe 7. But with time, that's gonna be pretty scary. If you look at the Zeri with almost 3 items, even Nugu has some one-shot potential on the likes of Shogun or even Taki, as we saw earlier. So Saigon Buffalo can't let MBE scale for free, even though they will get the Dragon Soul in no time. It's actually already taken right now.
Yeah, sure, and it's on it as well. I think Hasmet is on the one. It doesn't even really matter who really is on, but it's just a free Cloud Soul taken by the side of Saigon Buffalo. And now Foggy May with another Moonfall play, the rocket really flying through, but Zoda actually block it quite well, but a huge cast from Guri really disrupting the members of the SGB. And here's the Equalizer. Can it Equalizer kill? It actually can. Taki with the kill to Zodiac. Support difference being called in all chat. And will just be the one kill for them. And now they might turn for the Baron. Tom Mute gets struck down a little bit. His flash is down. This should be the Baron for the SGB.
Finally, the big purple worm is going to fall. Unless Tom Rio can somehow get in there. He does have the smite. Good marking from Taki. And Saigon Buffalo actually not on the Baron. No, they want Sanma.
They got Sanma beforehand and just immediately go for the turn. I'm not sure if it's even worth though to just go for Sanma. Like he's not as much of an objective as the Baron itself is. Bounties are on, and there's actually one bounty being claimed as the middle tier 1 is falling. And this will be the Baron done by Saigon Buffalo yet again, but they need to get an answer against Tomio. He could potentially go for the Miracle Steal. He can't quite get into there. As Nugu absolutely ins into the pit, just
slows.
Gets called out.
Pentakill?
But slows now with maybe the chase going there. He probably can't get the Pentakill here, but this is the Sonic Wave landing, and now slows onto slows. And slows also falling down. The aggressive Strike Shogun getting excited, being the better ADC, and this will probably be the chase down. TP now also coming down on the side of Hasmet. Might just be a shock blitz onto Tomio. It absolutely is. Tomio falls down, and now Zodiac in no man's land yet again can get chased down by Hasmet quite easily and will die before he can get the stun. That's a double kill for Hasmet, and SGB running to end the game.
What a huge redemption this series has been for Hasmet. Double Jace games, and what a comprehensive outplaying and just classing of Sanma. He's expected to do that, of course, but with Hasmet's performance in the whole spring split, some doubts crept into my mind, but of course today he's the much better top laner. He has one more opportunity to really prove himself against Kiaya on Sunday, and then goes into the unfortunate off-season situation where Hasmet really needs to improve if this team wants to keep running the same 5 players for the summer split, because he has been a huge disappointment and one of the reasons why Saigon Buffalo is not going to make the playoffs for the first time since winter 2021.
And now I just gotta ask, because I barely casted Garm this year, has Kiaya recovered, or has he had an underwhelming split as well? From what I recall, because he started very poorly into the split.
I mean, he has had a little bit of a quieter split, but it's still very good in lane, still very good stats and stuff like that. Good team fighting, some experimental games on Cannon, but not his most prolific split. I would actually argue Nagia maybe might be the best top lane in the league right now, but it's still a challenge.
Either way, they catch up to the mid lane. And this is just Zodiac. He's tanky, but is he tanky enough? He just isn't. The off-tank Diana item build definitely juicing onto him. And yeah, Abyssal Mask plus Demonic just is too much for Zodiac to really handle, as well as the T2 in the bot lane is too much to handle. So this will be falling down. Baron Siege still going on for Saigon Buffalo. They can easily just win this poke game with the accelerated shock blast. The rocket now falling down, just barely not getting the kill flashed for the long. But here's the lightning crash coming out. The kills are coming through. Hasmet still getting the kill onto Zeri, as well as Shogun getting excited with the kill on towards Sunma, and this will be the inhibitor falling down. Might just be the last push of this game. Minion wave is a little bit thin, and they can't actually tank it up, so it probably won't be the end of the game right here.
Yeah,
Or
maybe
maybe it
one more
will.
push as Shogun is trying to
Next
get
wave is
there.
there. The death timers are still strong, so they can just go for the Nexus turrets right here. It will be a Jinx absolutely shredding down onto these Nexus turrets, but actually shredding down onto the champions with one more kill into Zodiac. This will be the last push eventually. They finished the World of Ages, but they can't finish any presence in this game whatsoever. So Cyan Buffalo with a quick, clean 2-0.
You can say that again. 27 minutes on the clock, so 3 minutes behind what we tried to see. But Sun was still comprehensively outplayed. He did finish his World of Ages, so maybe something to be happy about. Not really, but
Not really, no.
in the end,
I would argue he should just go tank in this game and be a presence in team fights, otherwise than being super squishy. But that's his decision. I don't really judge him for it. It was a good one in the Yoshino series.
So this was the last showing from MGN Box Esports for this split. At least they are going to go down as the last place team with 1-13, winning one series. Weirdly enough, 2-0 against Cerberus, one of the weirdest turns of events ever. But in the end, this team definitely the worst team in our spring split. There's nothing really you can argue about that. By far the weakest score, but at least they won a series and they won a few more games afterwards. I think 4 in the end as a whole. Today, they had no chance, and we're going to take another look at this game's stats. 6-23 in kills. Gold graph kind of telling the story. Top lane damage percent numbers telling a very compelling story as well, as do the support damage comparisons. That is a really nice counterpick on the Rumble into the Braum. I want to see more of that, because lane is just unplayable for the Braum. So after seeing this crazy pick from Taki now, are you convinced?
Actually, not that much. I hate to be the party pooper over there. It was against Box, first of all, and I think the game could have been cleaner, and they could have just picked an Enchanter anyway. But I don't hate the pick, don't get me wrong on this one. He actually outdamaged Guri on the Gragas jungle this game, and it was actually still a very high AP Gragas. So in that regard, was a good pick. I was going to say that one, and I wasn't hating on it beforehand as much. And this game, I mean, gold difference just tells a very one-sided story, right? Not a single bit of purple to be seen over there. And Box, I mean, they got 2 turrets, they got a few kills in the returning plays, but all in all, a very clean game by Sagan Buffalo in both games, and can't just give too much away from them. They actually are in a position where they could theoretically, mathematically match Cerberus in both game and match score, I believe. So maybe like that's their goal, to at least like make it look close in that regard. But due to the head-to-head, they can't get their playoff spots. So ultimately, it would be futile.
Yep, and they still have to play GUM on Sunday. It would be a very Saigon Buffalo thing to actually deny GUM the perfect split on the last day when they're already eliminated from playoffs. That would be such an insane Saigon Buffalo thing to do, where in the end they kind of sneak the second place in there as well anyway, because they actually beat GUM. But for that, they still need to improve. Today was an improvement. Unfortunately, it doesn't really count for much. They will be, I believe, safe from relegation, because they're now sitting on 6 match wins over the likes of Flash and Team Secret, who both sit on 5. Let me quickly check.
Secret is on 4 wins.
Yeah, Secret is on 4, so that's 2 behind Saigon Buffalo. They did win series number 1 against Saigon Buffalo, but Secret is only playing 1 more series, so they can't ever get to the same score of Saigon Buffalo. So Saigon Buffalo now securely in the summer split again. They will not have to go to the relegations. That's for the Box and either Secret or Flash to go. And yeah, they ended their season in 5th place. 1 more series to go. In the end, still a big disappointment, and hopefully they can pick it up for the summer split. I'm not sure. Would you, after seeing Saigon Buffalo for the whole or the entirety of Spring Split, would you make changes? They tried to change their jungler. They have Guri now in the starting lineup. Do you think BJ gets another shot? Do you think they will try to experiment with a new top laner, maybe? Try to pick up someone there? Because I feel like Hasmid had the weakest split since 2020, probably. So
I think he had, but the thing is, like, what's the alternative, right? Are there any, like, aspiring new top laners potentially there? Would Yoshino say yes if you offer him the spot? I think he probably would. And actually, I mean, assuming Yoshino would say yes and you could get him, yes, get Yoshino. I'm a very huge Yoshino fan, and this split, yet again, he proved on the volunteer team that he can look like a top-tier top laner. So if they can get Yoshino, yeah, sure, do it. I mean, if Hasmet is very angry about it, he can maybe just go to Team Flash and prove that the decision was wrong. But I mean, I would not be against Yoshino playing for Sagan Buffalo, or just in general trying more stuff out. As long as the alternatives are good, might as well bench the underperforming players. I mean, that's what competitive esports sometimes like had their rough side, right? I mean, if you play bad, you get subbed out. That's how it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. And I feel like this team, they were on the cusp of being the best team of Vietnam. Actually, my expectation for them was to be the best team in Vietnam this year, and they comprehensively failed. They underachieved so tremendously that I feel like it's kind of time to make a change. They have run back the roster, okay, with small changes now with Guri coming in, but the core essence of the roster many times. And it looked like it was a steady improvement, right? From coming into the league and looking kind of weird into almost into winning a best of 5 actually last year against GAM in the upper bracket final, into performing decently, at least in some of the games at the international stage. So this year was supposed to be their time to win VCS with the same rosters, who finally overcome the GAM demons, and instead they failed to make playoffs. So even though this series looked quite strong from them, I feel like it's time for them to make yet another change, but we'll have to wait and see if they agree for the summer split, which, is still a few months away. So a lot of time to maybe get to some conclusions about individual players, see how they do in scrims, see if you can pick up a new talent or just improve your synergy with a new coach. I don't really know where this team's going.
Yeah, I mean, let's wait and see on last game day. Maybe they can actually like be at least like a silent passive, almost like when they are down and not even potentially in playoffs, they can maybe ruin their perfect split. I mean, GAM and Sagan Buffalo overall, I would call them rivaling organizations. I mean, Sagan Buffalo is one of those teams that actually did challenge them in the past and actually overcome them at least a few times. So it would be a beautiful day at least for them to really end the split on the win and just at least deny a little bit of fun from GAM and Hankai and the boys, right?
Yeah, and this happened before in winter when Cerberus came into the last series with 13-0. And they actually did lose their last series, 0-2 to Burst the Sky. Now, Burst the Sky was a playoffs team back then, but Saigon Buffalo is only barely not a playoffs team, so it can always happen. I'm already getting excited for Sunday for Saigon Buffalo's last showing. Speaking of last showings, before we close it out and go into a little break, MGN now don't play another game in the VCS, maybe ever. We don't know if they don't qualify for Summer Split, but at least not for, let's say, 2 months till the Summer Split. So today wasn't the greatest showing. I think overall this team steadily improved, and hopefully they can improve and be a little bit more of a challenge for the Summer Split. Do you have some parting words for them for now, Crincy?
I mean, you tried, you failed ultimately, but you didn't look like an absolute clown. And if I don't see you ever again, I will miss you. So I hope to see you again. Good luck in relegations, MGN Box Esports.
And with those nice words, we say goodbye for now for about 20 minutes, and then come back with maybe a playoffs preview, maybe a finals preview, a very prolific game. It's SBTC Esports facing off against GAM Esports. Both of these teams are going to go to playoffs. Both of these teams are the fan favorites. It's a huge rivalry, Palette against his old team. So get hyped already. We're going to be back in about 20 minutes with the main dish.